Good morning. Welcome to this Treasury One and ETM Analytics market review. With me today is Andre Sillier, currency strategist at Treasury One. Andre, we start off this week with global tensions that's heating up. We've seen over the weekend that a joint operation by Israel and the United States of America, led by President Donald Trump, invaded Iran. They attacked a big meeting of the Iran supreme leaders, and 48 people were killed, according to the intelligence we have, and one of them is the supreme leader in Iran. That's caused Iran to retaliate in the UAE and Qatar and Kuwait, and Israel as well, which is all allies of the United States. So a little bit of turmoil this morning. What do you make of all of this?
Richard, yes, thank you very much. It's a very difficult one to answer, to say, what do I make of it? Because, you know, we simply do not have enough information to know what happens in the minds of a Donald Trump and Mr. Netanyahu. We know that intelligence shared between them of the big meeting of leaders that triggered the attack, or apparently triggered the attack, and that the people were killed, including, as you mentioned, the Ayatollah Khamenei. But aggressive reaction by Iran and attacks on military bases throughout the region of America, attacks directly into Israel by Iran. Hezbollah that attacked and launched attacks against Israel, and Israel that then sent and attacked Beirut. So a full-scale war situation in that region that is unlikely to subside very, very quickly. The death of the leader, I think, triggers fairly aggressive reaction by Iran. We've seen in Iran the huge protests on both sides, for and against. So to assess the situation in the inland of Iran as to is the people against or for the current regime is difficult to assess, but we know that they are still there. There is people making decisions. They're not decisionless, and they are fairly aggressive in their attacks. And that can escalate. And Mr. Trump had said if they continue with this, they might be hit with the might of that they've never seen before. So the threats still continue, and there's no possibility that I see at this point in time of a quick end to this. So how it will gel out is very difficult to assess, and I don't think that the full impact has been seen on currencies and so forth at this point in time. It could escalate further. One of the important things is the fact that China, for instance, gets their oil from Iran, or a lot of their oil from Iran. We also know that oil prices have increased substantially, and you've put up a slide here about oil in the Strait of Hormuz, and you can run us a little bit through, because the Strait of Hormuz is a very important thing in the terms of the supply of oil. So you can run us through that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. Yeah, so the Strait of Hormuz is 33 kilometers wide, but most of the oil, to about 20% of the world's oil, needs to travel through the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran says it's international waters, so nobody owns the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran says it's open, but it's technically closed because a lot of the insurance companies is talking to shipping firms like the MSC, like where the Radiant Shipping comes says, we are pulling your war insurance. So 150 plus oil tankers and large ships have thrown anchor in open sea and doesn't want to travel for the Strait of Hormuz because shipping companies doesn't want to risk putting their ships through that little barrier of 33 kilometers of being attacked. So it's caused oil prices to spike a little bit, up close 10% since where it was yesterday, closer to $80. We need to see how long the war lasts, because if it's a prolonged war, although OPEC plus countries came overnight and says they'll ramp up production to counter it, but if it's prolonged, we know President Donald Trump has been on the inflation bandwagon. He wants to cut interest rates in the US. So all of this will play into an inflation shock for the US, not just for the US, but for the rest of the world. Remember, South Africa's biggest import into this country is oil. And although we don't get our oil from the Middle East and we get it from Singapore and places like that, it's still, the price is still impacted by what's happening in the Middle East. So very, very important to see what happens and how the oil market plays out. It's not just oil as well. It's LNG gas that also needs to flow through that piece. So very important little 33 kilometers that we need to watch. Andre, I see you want to add something to this.
When you spoke that it's just not oil, one can actually refer here to the whole energy sector that is influenced by this and could have, as you say, a very dramatic impact on inflation. It could be an inflation shock throughout the world, not singled out to one country, but the whole world. And we know what that could mean. That could mean a shock to inflation means a shock to interest rates.
Yeah, Andres, I know we're talking about shock to inflation, shock to interest rates, but something that America also needs to watch and worry about the economy is what happens in the jobs market. And so, barring all this tension that we're talking about and what everybody's focusing on geopolitically, is the US has the non-farm payrolls that coming out on Friday, which is still an important figure to watch. So what can we expect from the jobs market in the US?
Richard, yes, thank you. It's expected that the February figure could add a lot less jobs than what was the case in January, and that could be slightly negative and point to a slowing job market. At this point in time, 1 month of a slowing job creation situation will not have a dramatic impact on unemployment, but if this continues, it could push up the unemployment figure, and we know that that's one of the factors that is being looked at by the Federal Reserve when they discuss monetary policy. But as we've just mentioned, the cat amongst the pigeons now becomes oil prices, inflation, and so forth, because that's the other one that they look at. So even if you have a slowing jobs market, and at the same time you also have higher inflation, it could still mean that the Fed doesn't want to cut interest rates immediately, but that's not what Mr. Donald Trump wants. He wants it to be cut immediately. But so much is happening that we might have to wait a month or two longer before we see this really playing out and how it plays out.
Yeah, Andre, it calls for interesting times. A lot of volatility after a prolonged period where we've just been stagnating. We saw the Rand obviously trade in the 1590s, closed at 1590s on Friday. We opened up this morning weaker, risk aversion across the globe. Spike touched 1620 very, very briefly. We're back around 1608. What can we expect from the local currency for the week?
Richard, yes, you've mentioned the word risk aversion, and that's immediately reaction. The Rand pushed above the 16 levels. It went around the 1620 from the 1590 levels last week. So in terms of the Rand, quite a bit of weakening, but the Rand still riding the wave. Gold also did well. We still have high interest rates. Things are still looking fairly okay for the country in terms of GNUs, in terms of a budget that was read that is reasonably good. So gold price still doing well, commodities still doing well. So the rand's still riding the wave. I have no reason to believe that immediate threats to a 1580, 1630 trading range is at threat. So I think we will remain within that, but with a very, very close eye as to what happens in the Middle East.
Andre, I say thank you much for your update, and to everybody out there, enjoy the week. We'll chat again next week. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Richard.